Welcome to Relo Women. It is Monday at just about noon. It is. I got 1 minute too. So we'll just wait for people to come on, but I am so glad that you are here. It is a beautiful day here in Texas again. I did have my jacket on earlier because when I woke up it was like 38 degrees. Yeah, it's still kind of chilly in the morning, but it's going to recover. Don't worry about me. It'll be 70 later, so it's going to be fine. But this is one of the reasons why we live here in Texas, is because of the winter weather. It's beautiful most of the time. So here we are at just about noon. And again, this is the Relo Women Noon Monday Live on Facebook. And I am so glad that you're here. I hope that you will come with me every Monday as we explore all things relocation. If it is something that relocation touches, chances are we're going to talk about it right here. Now, as we continue to walk through this pandemic, because that's everywhere, you know, the crisis of friendship, the ability to connect, becomes more and more evident, especially where we don't have those connections maybe that we had before. The BBC, either last year or the year before, even called loneliness one of their major health crises that they were working to address over the next 5 to 10 years. That it had a significant effect on people's health, and that then becomes of real interest to the government. Over the weekend, I even saw a post by a woman who has been here in Dallas for over 5 years. And she was probably responding to somebody who had relocated here recently. And she said, you know, I would love to be your friend. I am still searching for friends beyond Facebook friends. And that's just one of those things that happens, is that when we relocate, you know, we have to go through that process. But over 5 years, that just doesn't have to be that way. And so as adults going back, you know, I think we all think we're going to be flush with friends. I think that, you know, between work or church, or, you know, maybe we have a running group or that charity organization that we volunteer all of our time with. We think that we're going to be just flush with these connections all along the way. But the truth is that friendships happen in seasons. And those seasons, as I said, they ebb and flow. And then you layer on top of that relocation. And relocation then adds an entirely different set of processes that you need to walk through. A few years ago, in one of my previous locations, I knew a woman who was talking to me about the fact that her coworker was going back to the place he had come from. He had been there for about 2 years and had been very successful at work, but had decided to move back to Boston. Well, the thing was that she was really kind of confused over the whole thing. You know, he seemed to do things and know people, but when she asked him about it, he said, you know, I really couldn't connect. There wasn't anything that I could do to really make those good connections, those good friendships that I needed. And she was perplexed because her life was full. She had friends that she had had since kindergarten, and she found everybody to be friendly and inclusive. But the fact of the matter is that for him and I, that culture was very difficult for us to break into, and was the reason why he left, and one of the reasons why I left. The thing about it is that it's not necessarily a culture thing. Because even though this is where I identified it, it was actually it's actually the way that we all work. Because if you think about it, especially in these busy years, if you are in what I like to call the K through 12 years, we have so many things that we have to do. There's so many responsibilities. And if, say, we've had kind of a stressful day and we just want to sit down with a glass of wine and have a chat with a girlfriend, who are we going to call? We're going to call somebody that we know, somebody where we almost already know what the conversation is going to be about, as opposed to not knowing, as opposed to somebody new, where the conversation may go or it may not go, but ultimately we have to put in more effort. When we understand these things about the processes of of building connections and friendships in a new place, it is so important, because it's in these processes that once we understand them, once we understand that, these people are going to have to work at it to invite us into their circle, to invite us even for possibly a coffee, that, we give a little more grace. We have a little more patience with them and continue to ask. Maybe we ask 1 or 2 more times for that coffee date, just in case. Because we know it's a process. We're breaking into it, and we're creating space, and we can, and we will. We will find our tribe no matter where we land. And so by understanding that it's kind of step by step, rather than, you see your next best friend from across the room, and your eyes meet, and everything is glorious. By understanding the root of the process, that's when it lowers your frustration. And it keeps you from setting expectations that might be missed. And this helps us propel down that relocation road. So this week, the topic is We'll Work for Friends. We will start it off in the blog tomorrow on Tuesday, and then we will continue it on Thursday. If you have recently relocated, or you know somebody who's relocated and is having trouble breaking into their community, get them out to the Relo Women website. Both the blog and the podcast will be there. And the podcast is also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of your podcast players, so you can find it there. And so be sure and subscribe. And then finally, if it is time to not relocate alone, to continue out this process and actually get to that life that you envisioned when you accepted this relocation in the beginning, give me a call. Let's have a chat. Let's see if I've got the tools for you to relocate well. I'm Annette Walters. I'm your Chief Relo Champion, and I appreciate you coming and talking with me or viewing this video with me today. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you here next week, next Monday, on Facebook Live on the Relo Women website.